I am personally not a big fan of video games. Nonetheless, they have been a very big part of my life when I was younger. I spent hundreds of days of in-game time in games like World of Warcraft, League of Legends, Minecraft, Diablo 3, etc. And not all about video games is bad if played the right way. There is a big conditional though. There are only benefits when you commit to games, try to get better, and the games are challenging in a way. Otherwise, it is just instant gratification and a problem. However, when those things are true, the following benefits can be expected. Keep in mind that all of the following statements are for the average person. Outliers also exist, and not everything is good about video games. Keep that in mind. But without further ado, let us look at the map of Carryover. We are situated at the bottom left corner of the map, where video games are. And the first thing that suffers a lot from video games is your performance at the university or at your job or at school or wherever you spend a good chunk of your time. Video games are time consuming like none and nothing else. It is probably the most time consuming hobby out there. And if you spend most of your time playing video games, you do not have that time available for studying or for your job, and your performance will suffer. For example, when I was at university in the first 2 years, I spent most of my time playing League of Legends and thus had subpar grades. I fixed that later, but in the beginning it was a very big problem for me. And the same is also true for school and for jobs. The next thing that suffers are hobbies or things that are related to physical activity. People that sit a lot of the time in front of a screen will be inclined to move little. The human body and the human mind always try to do more of the same. And when you sit a lot, you don't want to move a lot. Thus, lifting and endurance training like running will not take place in most cases. And very related to those things are nutrition and weight loss. Your nutrition will likely be bad because you don't have too much incentive and too much time to prepare proper meals. And when you consume a lot of fast food and move little, you will likely gain a little bit of weight. Again, those values are for the average person and won't apply to everyone. The next thing that might suffer a little bit are hookups. While some people have some success in video games with picking up girls or partners, it is not true for everyone, to say the least. Most people just spend a lot of time there and don't go outside as often because they are busy all the time, and this has a negative impact on your ability to find a partner. But some things are actually of a little bit benefit. When you play a lot of video games, your hobbies obviously improve because playing video games is a hobby. Further, you have time to listen to things like music and can enhance your knowledge there. But your hygiene and fashion will suffer a little bit simply because you aren't really incentivized to leave the house, and most people just dress good and wash themselves well when they want to see other people. But another big one is your ability to make friends online. A lot of people make a lot of good friends in video games, and I am no exception. I met some of my best friends playing, for example, World of Warcraft or Diablo 3. And some of them I even speak to nowadays, years after I have stopped indulging in those games. And now to some really positive benefits. And those are, first, your willpower, second, your discipline, and third, your confidence. When you play games like World of Warcraft or anything in a very competitive way or manner, you have to have a lot of willpower and a lot of discipline to stick to the game for the very long time to become good at it. And once you become good at it, you will create some confidence in your ability. Because the principles of success are more or less universal, you can apply those things that you learned with video games to everything else in life and also be good at that. Your frustration tolerance, for example, will be very good if you endure dying to a boss mob in World of Warcraft 500 times and spend weeks trying to, actually kill it. And thus, you can actually benefit from that. However, you can gain those skills from any kind of activity, and they are not exclusive to video games. And lastly, your financials will also benefit a little bit, as video games are most of the time pretty cheap. And lastly, some other things suffer a little bit, like your ability to meditate, for example, or to care for your health and mental health. Those things are usually very time consuming, and you need an incentive, an external stimulus that lets you get into those things. And when you play video games all the time, those things are simply not there. Further, you will have little time to care for your family and your partner, thus those things suffer a little bit too. Okay, but let us now come to the most important points. Video games are instantly rewarding and thus a form of instant gratification, and thus a source of danger when you want to be good at self-improvement. However, if played the right way, they can provide some benefits. Those benefits mainly lie in the universal principles of success. Once you learn them in video games, you can apply them everywhere in life. You thus become more confident, more disciplined and resistant to frustration, and you know firsthand that greatness and being good at something is possible. Most people nowadays use lifting to get started with those things and to realize that it is possible to improve the personal situation. Furthermore, it is possible to get a bit better at problem solving and analytical thinking when done correctly. The end game of video games is quite challenging most of the time, even though if they are easy to learn. Keep in mind though that most people do not play video games that way, and thus mainly negative things are to be expected. The main one would be the enormous time consumption that video games bring. Carefully observe yourself when gaming and wanting to improve. It is a very good idea to spend your time well, because it is the most valuable resource out there. Okay, and that is pretty much it for today. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to leave it a thumbs up, so I know that I should produce more of this style of content. If you feel like I missed something, however, please let me know in the comment section so that other people can benefit from your wisdom. But until then, I wish you a pleasant day and goodbye.